I'm looking here at a very nice design. It's a concept design for the development of a rear yard. If we move to a layout space and I go to the layouts manager, notice that the design is constructed on an A3 sheet. We can use different sheet sizes, but I digress. Our designer is having a little bit of trouble getting some nice definitions if you print this for the client. We can do a quick print for a client with Save as PDF, and I'll go to a window option and maximum, and I'll OK that. That gives me the opportunity to wrap a box around the whole design. And I'll go to my local disk, and what I want is my desktop, and we'll pop it on the desktop as test, and we'll save it. We'll overwrite it. There's no definition of line. This is not what we want to send to the client. So let's close from there and see if we can work out why. If you look down in the status line here, the line weight switch is not on. That needs to be on if we are to get a high resolution print suitable for the client. So let's just try that. So it's a simple and easy thing to miss. Let's try it again. File, save as PDF, OK it, wrap a box around it, and we'll call it test 2. And this time we're hoping for much better definition and something suitable as a first offering to the client. And I'm relatively happy with that. You might argue that some of that lettering looks a little bit too heavy. If we go, we might want to lighten it off. Other things I think we could do is put some curve fitting for the water and the water course. So we'll close from there and back into the model. Here's the water. It's colored 125. There's transparency of 50. Let's make that 75. This will make it a little bluer, but let's give some curve fitting to that one, and this one a different color, 148, and we'll curve fit there. And we might even be able to put some curve fitting on some of these curves running through here to make them just look a little simpler. Notice that that's the edge of the watercourse, and it's on a layer called text. I got to this point by looking here. We might want to have that text in there printed with a thinner weight pen. You could do it in the properties box directly here with line weight. It's currently set by layer. You could reduce that to say half strength 0.15, but a better approach is to go format and line weights will allow us to control the thickness of the default setting. If we click there, we could put everything back to about 0.15. We still should get reasonable definition, but the text certainly would be made a little thinner and crisper. Or we could set things back to 0.25, which I'll cancel from here. And what we can do is control everything on the text. We need to go to layers, and if we look at the text layer, which is left current, you can see here we can just change the thickness of that layer. This might exaggerate it a little bit. We'll put it at 0.9 and OK, and OK that. So we're applying a thinner line just on that one layer, on that text layer. Back here, and while we're at it, let's go to the Layouts Manager, and rather than call it Layout 4, we'll call it Concept. A3 and hit enter. Now let's print again. File, save as PDF, keeping all the settings the same. And we'll call this test 3. What we're looking for is some finer text, and I think you would agree that's improved things a lot. Let's go in, and there's our text. You might argue that that's a little too fine, but you can see it's easy to play with the design. Our designer here has developed some really nice symbols which are not part of gCADPlus. Let's escape from there and go back into the design, because I notice that our dimension, let me scroll out a little, the actual dimension is not sitting central in the horizontal dimension or vertical dimension in this case. So let's zoom extents, come back into the model, and I just want to show how easy it is with gCADPlus if you have placed a dimension to control that. So just select the dimension itself and slide up. It's a good idea to leave polar on while you're doing this so that you don't skew things. And I think I saw somewhere else some dimension, or is that the only dimension here? I think it is, but it's a handy little technique to realize you can do it. Notice too with that dimension that the takeoff point, that's not the dimension at all. The takeoff point, if I can select the dimension and zoom in here, see how the dimension crosses one of the labels. So it's a good idea to move your dimension across outside of the labels, and then with polar on, and notice that we have a measurement of over here of 5,800. You can, polar is on, so you can slide to get the dimension takeoff point, if you like, well away. And now we have a dimension sitting there which now doesn't cross any other labeling. I'd argue, I think that the dimension text is a little small, and that's relatively easy to fix by identifying what style. It's in a style called standard. So it would be relatively easy to change the height of that text in that dimension style. I'll come in here and click text. So text is 70 units. Not sure quite how this will go, but I'd probably go for something like 150. And we'll OK it. And that shows you the difference of how that shows you the result we wanted. Probably like the arrowheads a little bigger, so you can just play with that. But unfortunately, because other text is also on that layer called text, these are indicated there, they are leaders. We change the text height here, we'll change it there. So you might want to separate out dimension styles and other labeling text, and be just careful that if you change one thing, it can have a cascading effect. So I hope that helps. Just look at this drawing, slightly improve it, and get a much better result.